Welcome, everyone. My name is Shawn Jones, and I'm the CEO of the iNetrepreneur Network. And today I have with me a very talented individual who is making a huge impact in the world. She is also one of our speakers at an upcoming conference hosted here in Arizona. I have with me today Lisa Levy. Lisa, welcome.
Shawn, it's so great to be here with you today. Thank you.
So, Lisa, before we dive into what you're doing to change the world, everyone always loves to actually know the person behind the business. Share with us a little sneak peek behind the scenes of who is Lisa.
So the sneak peek is that I am absolutely, positively an accidental entrepreneur. I came up in corporate America with the belief that I wanted that stability, that structure, that safety of paid time off, of a 401k, of all of those things, until one day I just had it. And I knew that there were things that we could do that were better for businesses, for individuals. And I walked away from it and created L Cubed Consulting.
Wow. Accidental entrepreneur. I love it. I love it. So you own L Cube Consulting.
Yes.
Tell us, share with us, what is L Cube?
So L Cubed is a boutique management consulting firm that I opened in 2009. The goal of the business is very simple. It's to help align people, processes, and enable with appropriate technology. It's what every management consulting company in the world is supposed to do. We do things a little bit differently in that my primary goal with my teams for my clients is to teach skills so that they build self-reliance and we actually leave them.
So you have the tools, the process, the blueprint plan of how everything is to interchange and lock together for a smoother flow. And you teach your clients, and then you pass the baton.
Yes.
Wow. So when you talk about management, the process, is that a hiring process? Is this how to market online? Let's dive a little bit deeper into what are you actually teaching businesses to do?
Absolutely. So what we're teaching, and I wouldn't be a consultant if I hadn't branded it, is called adaptive transformation. And it is the business operating system for any company. And it's how we run the business of the business. So it is about how we do work using the tools of project management. It's how we make things repeatable so we can scale, process management, continuous improvement. It's about ensuring safety for the business itself, internal controls where we can mitigate risk to the business, to the employees, to our clients and customers. And it's about taking people through all of this through organizational change and understanding what's in it for me as an employee on that whole journey. So those are four really big corporate best practices that we are bundling together in a unique way so that we can use it in small, medium, large, and jumbo companies, but that every employee has a part to play and that they will know what it is and they will know how to do it.
Being that my personality is strategic and blueprint process oriented, I can appreciate what you are teaching businesses, whether they're the small, the mid, or the conglomerates out there. Because in every business, no matter the size, you always need a strong foundation. Think about a bridge. Take you back when we were in school and we had the toothpick projects to build these structures. And if one area was not tight, it was not positioned properly, it couldn't hold the weight.
Yes. And so a house is always a perfect analogy, right? We need a strong foundation. We need the infrastructure, right? The framing so that we have the structural integrity. And then we do all of the other fun things, right? And finally, right, the interior design, the things that make it pretty and fun and inviting. But everything has to be built in the right time, in the right sequence with purpose.
Mhm. Now, being that you work with a lot of different companies across multiple industries, there's typically certain areas that business owners, entrepreneurs, that they struggle in. It could be in multiple categories, but there often tends to be some similarities. What are some similarities that you find your clients hire you for? At what point do they come and say, this is no longer serving me. I need your company to help me?
We like to talk about it in terms of the idea of growing pains, right? In the beginning, everybody comes with the all hands on deck. We're going to build and grow something, and everybody's going to contribute whatever is necessary at a given moment in time. Sometimes we put on our superhero capes and do the impossible, but that's not sustainable. Where we really start to add value is when that's happening and we're getting diminishing returns. People are exhausted, people are worn out, and we need in the business to have repeatable process, because until it's repeatable, it's certainly not scalable. And so we can throw more people at the same tasks over and over and over and over and burn people out, or we can build processes with purpose for scale so that we're using our best people in the right time, in the right place for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm. When you teach them the repeatables, I'll bring it down to a low one. Emails. How much time is wasted on repeating yourself, the same conversation, the same information over and over again in email, and people aren't creating ways to make it quicker, faster, and more time management? What do you do in certain areas to really help? Do you write content? Is it all about just putting in an automated system and showing them how to use it? Give us some nuggets here.
So email is such a rich topic. I love that you picked that because we all use it. We love to hate it and we can't survive without it. We forget that there are rules of engagement, right? That email is actually in our modern world a relatively formal form of communication. Mm-hmm. When we start thinking about the fact that we have texting and we have instant messaging and all these other more informals, email has become relatively formal. And so who we copy, how many people we address in an email is as important as, do you hit reply to all every time you get an email with 20 people on it? There are guidelines and there are rules, right? If I am carbon copied on an email, that tells me that I am not being asked for a response, that I am being informed of a conversation, that I should be aware of it, but nobody's asking for my specific response. People forget those little tools and that it's designed that way on purpose. Many workers in our companies today, our millennials and our Gen Zers, don't remember a typewritten memorandum and the formal structure of what to carbon copy, blind carbon copy, and what all of those things used to mean. And it's important that we keep that structure and that knowledge so that we use our tools for efficiency and effectiveness, and we don't send an email to 200 people and reply all to every response.
Absolutely. And you brought up the millennials and Gen Zers. What is their biggest struggle that you're finding right now outside of the emails?
The thing that I'm seeing, and our millennials, we still talk about them like they're the newcomers. Our millennials are pushing 40. They are directors, they are vice presidents, they are the next wave of true leaders. So they're in it to win it. We start looking at Gen Z, right? Our emerging employees, right? They are now about 25 and younger. And they're going to change how we run businesses because of their experience graduating from college during the pandemic and having a hard time finding work. Their expectations are very different than anything we've ever seen before. They want a purpose. They want a mission. They want to add value. They want to be valued in ways that you and I, Sean, when we had our first job, we sucked it up.
Yes.
Because we had no other choice. Well, they've chosen, option C, other, and are saying no, they're not going to put up with things that we just assumed we had to.
Mm-hmm.
And as leaders, as business owners, struggling to fill vacancies, we need to lead better for an employee population that wants and expects more from us than I think any generation has ever expected from their employers.
Absolutely. And you wrote a book called Future Proofing Cubed. Tell us more about your book.
So Future Proofing Cubed takes that principle of adaptive transformation and really starts to explain it out, taking the 4 key elements of project management, process management, internal controls, and organizational change, and showing that blueprint of how these things work together. I also have some wonderful stories from a dozen or so executives, predominantly all in the Phoenix market, sharing some of their stories and how they are using these tools and techniques, whether they had worked with me before or they're figuring it out on their own, how these pieces fit together, because it really is a nice formula for success and it sets up growth and scale, which is what we want out of our businesses.
Mm-hmm. You and I touched on it. The millennials, they're hitting their 40s. And then you have individuals that they've retired. They're retirees coming back because they decided there's only so many hours you can possibly spend on the golf course. They're not ready to just sit on the couch and be the couch potatoes. They want to get back into the workforce, some of which have been former entrepreneurs. Some worked for corporate America and decided, I still want this freedom. And now they're coming into entrepreneurialism. What are some challenges that you're seeing with those individuals that are coming back?
I'm not sure that I have a great story on that, but what I've seen is always the trend when we start blending generational groups together, right? Finding the fit. And when I was young in my career, when I was still in corporate, one of my first great, Lisa, this will be an opportunity for you, interactions was bringing in a person onto my team who at that point in time, she's my mother's age. Okay. And in this, in the environment we were in, she had worked there for nearly 30 years. She had been in every role in the organization. She was a treasurer who was 3 years away from retirement and nobody knew what to do with her anymore. And so this opportunity, Lisa, please make her fit, make her happy, make her successful, and let her enjoy her last 3 years before retirement. Our first conversation together, we're sitting at my desk, we're eyeball to eyeball, and she's skeptical and I'm skeptical. I wasn't skeptical, I was terrified. I was looking at my mom and I was about to tell her that I'm now her boss. And we started having this conversation and I said, Diane, what do you want to do? And she said, I want to help this company. I love this company. I've been here for nearly 30 years, right? And we go through that whole sequence of how she's been there and done everything. And I asked her, this team is about managing projects. We are implementing new things into the organization. She goes, well, it was a financial institution and we were opening new branches. And she said, Lisa, I spent most of my career in the branches. I know the customers, I know the processes, I know the technology. And listening to a woman who was not a technology centric person saying she knows that technology, I said, Diane, you're going to lead all of the new branch openings for the next 3 years. And she said, that sounds like so much fun. And in a 20-minute conversation, both of us got rid of our fear, our uncertainty. We let all of that stuff just sort of melt away when we dialed it down to what's important, what is interesting, how do you want to add value? I couldn't answer that, only she could.
Mm-hmm. That's incredible. What is the biggest piece of advice that you give your clients?
Oh, the biggest piece of advice that I give is learn how to embrace uncertainty. There are no guarantees. And no matter how well we plan anything, The unknowns are always out there, and we have to be willing and ready to respond to them, or in those very rare exceptions where we get ahead of them. But if we're afraid of them, businesses will stall and flounder.
Absolutely. So, Lisa, if somebody would like to talk to you about your company, L Cubed Consulting, how can they get in contact with you?
The easiest way to find me is to go to lisallevy.com. That will take you to lcubedconsulting.com. Everything is all there together on the website. There are links to schedule consultation calls with me. You can also find me on LinkedIn, Lisa L. Levy.
Wonderful. Lisa, I want to thank you so much for being here today. I've enjoyed learning more about your company, getting to know the person behind the business.
Sean, thank you for the opportunity to share with your audience.
For those of you that are watching, we just had a conversation with Lisa Levy. She is the owner of L Cubed Consulting. She is also one of our speakers at the upcoming July 28th, 2022 Unchain Yourself Professional Women's Conference. It'll be an in-person event. For more information, to find out how you can talk directly with Lisa, hear her speak from stage. She's going to be hosting a group workshop, so she's going to teach us some things while she's there. You can go to ntevents.net. That's ntevents with an S.net.